Hello, my name is Cheryl Lujan, author of Madness on the Brink of Eco-Apocalypse, a book I wrote because I was so mad that we aren't doing more about the many threats to Earth's life support systems. But I get it. Figuring out what to do is hard and it's isolating. So I looked around and I found groups and organizations who are doing something. And in this video series, we are finding out what they are up to inspire the rest of us to do more, because we sure can't wait for our government, the megacorps, or the oligarchs to do it for us. Today we are chatting with Weston Wilson, who is originally from Colorado, but now living in Europe, where he reads, writes, and thinks about sustainability issues all day. He also works with We Don't Have Time, an organization which I showcased in the book. We Don't Have Time is the world's largest media platform for climate action. Wow. Welcome, Weston.
Thank you.
Our first question here is always to touch a bit of grass, so to speak. If we were to look out that window behind you, what would we see nature-wise?
Well, nature-wise, there are some trees that are starting to bud and blossom, and there's a magpie nest in one of those trees right at our apartment level, so that's going to be fun to watch. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting neighborhood that we're in because we're in a formerly industrial part of Stockholm that was kind of rezoned as a mixed use residential commercial neighborhood. And, everything is a little bit new for my taste. But that being said, it's kind of the perfect eco-urbanist type of urban planning that you can imagine. There's public transport. There's 3 supermarkets within a 5-minute walk, and then there's even an electric ferry that I can catch close by, which I take to the office every day. So it's a real, I think, great example of a sustainable city type environment.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Outside my window in the front, I threw out a few nasturtium seeds years ago because that's my idea of gardening.
Mhm.
I've done all kinds of wildflower seeds out there. Nothing comes up, but those nasturtiums show up every spring. They cover the yard in green and orange, and despite my neglect, and I'm really grateful for that.
Wonderful.
So, okay, let's get to business. Weston, tell us some basics about We Don't Have Time. I mean, the name is so relatable for many of us. We're busy on so many levels. But what does your organization do, and how does that address the climate crisis?
Sure. We Don't Have Time goes back to 2016, right after the first election of Donald Trump. That's when our founder, Ingmar Rentzog, decided that he needed to change the trajectory of his career. He was formerly involved in finance, and he decided that he needed to dedicate his working hours to fighting climate change. So he founded this media company. We Don't Have Time, as the name suggests, is all about amplifying the message of the urgency of addressing the climate crisis. And then, of course, sustainability and on a wider scale as well. But the main focus has always been on the climate. So there are a few different aspects to what the company is involved in. There's a sort of social media platform where all of our users can share stories, and the idea is to amplify the good news and the bad news and the bright ideas that people have. So if somebody sees that a company or a government has made a decision recently that is going to help us decarbonize or otherwise fight climate change, they can post a climate love review, and hopefully that will gain some momentum, and the the organization or person in question will hear about it and know that we're seeing their good decisions. Then if somebody sees something that they're not so happy about, that's not helping the climate, they can post a climate warning review. And the same idea, if it garners enough attention, then we reach out to them and encourage them to enter a dialogue, and hopefully that will lead to some solution that is better for the planet. And then we're branching out into other things now. We're doing a lot of events and broadcasts now, where we bring in experts and activists and different kinds of leaders to talk about climate solutions. So that's been a big part of our focus lately.
That's great. I have the We Don't Have Time app. I love engaging with it instead of doom scrolling, when I have a few spare minutes, because it's really easy to look at these things that people have put together. It's so packaged so nicely. It's easy to do, and it's almost so simple. I wonder, how is this making a real difference? I mean, how do you measure the impact? What kind of results have you seen?
Yeah, it of course is always difficult to measure exactly what the impact is, but there have been a few examples where we have caught the attention of people that are in a position to make decisions. So probably the biggest example of this was last year, when a climate warning was posted to one of the biggest pension funds in Sweden, when it was pointed out that they were investing quite heavily in
Mm.
Saudi Aramco, which is one of the worst climate villains of all the petrochemical companies out there. And they responded. There was dialogue. They actually were in a video discussion with Ingmar Rentzhog, our founder. And in the end, they decided that they would divest. And so that was,
Fantastic.
I don't remember off the top of my head what the figure was, but many millions of dollars of Swedes' pension funds were taken out of Saudi Aramco and put into more sustainable areas.
That's fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
that's real impact. Uh, it says the world's largest media. I mean, how many people, do you have any idea how many people are interacting with We Don't Have Time? And
Yeah, there are now, I think we're coming up on 150,000 users, and we are also active on all the other social media platforms. So our reach is quite a bit wider than that. We typically, when we have broadcasts, some of the bigger events, like we go to the COP climate summit and that kind of thing, and those will often break 1 million viewers with those broadcasts. So in terms of spreading the message, the reach is pretty
so
significant.
you say all the platforms, you mean Facebook, Instagram,
All of those things.
LinkedIn?
Exactly. Yeah.
All of them.
LinkedIn is.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So not hard to find and not hard to do. I can vouch for that.
Yeah.
And making some measurable impact, although it's always hard to know. Another thing I appreciate about it that you haven't mentioned, the benefit, is scrolling through and seeing how many climate positive projects there are. This stuff doesn't make the news. All we
Yeah.
hear is about people trying to tear it down. And it's astonishing what good news there is if you just look for it. And I know, as a person who has done a lot of research, it's not easy to find on your own. There's all the bad news is what comes to the top of the Google searches. And so it's really affirming for me to realize just how many people are doing climate positive projects, no matter who's in office in whatever government we're talking about. That
Yeah, actually that's I think one of the coolest things about the We Don't Have Time platform is that when it was first launched, everybody expected that it was going to be, very conflictive, a lot of kind of outrage content. Uh,
Hmm.
just another place to doom scroll, right? But it turns out that I forget exactly what the figure is, but it's like 75% of the reviews that we get are climate love reviews. So people are really more excited to share the good news of things that are happening. And I really want to stress that that is also a positive thing to do, not just for our mental health and well-being, but
Right.
also because when an organization knows that their efforts are being appreciated, they're more likely to continue, and they're
That's
more
right.
likely to increase their ambitions, and that is absolutely critical. That's a very important thing.
That's so, yeah, because so what we hear about now is companies being attacked for doing this thing or that thing, and everybody's on boycotting this and boycotting that, and wow, what a refreshing change of perspective to say. I mean, I know, and I talked with my friends. We're looking for companies to support that we love that are doing good things, and thank you for showcasing some places and people that are doing that. That's so valuable to me. I do have to ask about the app, and maybe this may not be your area, but everybody's concerned about security now, privacy, information issues, because information is being used against people. Is the app pretty secure?
Yeah, I believe so. That is not my my
Mhm.
area of expertise, but no, as far as I'm aware, it's never been it's we've never had any sort of security breach or anything like that. And to use the app, it's very minimal information commitment.
Yeah,
If somebody were interested in it and they were concerned about privacy issues, it's not hard at all. You could use a throwaway email and
true.
be
That's true.
perfectly capable of interacting with the app. But yeah, it's we definitely take that stuff seriously. We have a whole IT team that is keeping a close watch on that at all
Okay,
times.
that's what people want to hear, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm thinking about demographics.
Mhm.
We keep hearing how many young people, and I know I have two kids in their 20s myself, and they're deeply affected by what they hear about the climate crisis and everything else that's happening on the planet. And so I'm wondering, do you have any idea? Do you have a lot of young people? I'm assuming so, because this is the kind of thing that they engage in more. But do you have any idea what the demographics of people who are using the app and how young people might be involved?
I don't know exactly what the demographic breakdown is of the users, but that is a very interesting question. I will say that yes, of course, there are a considerable number of young people that are involved in it. I think that you know um, activism has been primarily a young person's interest for since forever,
Mhm.
but I think that somebody that isn't familiar with kind of the wider climate movement might be surprised when they go into We Don't Have Time and they see how many people of all ages uh, are engaged in it. We really do have a lot of people that are professionals well into their career and beyond who are very concerned about this and are quite active in trying to make a difference. So I hope that's not a non-answer. It really does run the gamut though. It's
Well,
all kind
it's kind of reaffirming too that you're really not collecting a lot of information about us that we don't
of
know.
well, yeah, and I mean, I would just point out also that We Don't Have Time is unlike the major social media platforms. We're not in the business of advertising.
Right.
We don't run ads on We Don't Have Time. We're not collecting information and
Thank you
selling
for
it
clarifying that. That's important.
to third parties.
Yeah.
That's not our business at all. We're
Right.
completely run with our partners who are uh, companies that we you know reach out to because they're doing something good and we want to amplify their message. And that's how we keep the lights on, is through their support.
So I'm not going to vote for a project and then get off the app and get ads for it, right?
No.
That's not
I
happening.
mean, as far as I know, there's also issues of, like your
Good
browser.
from
If
your
you're
end,
using,
Google may be
yeah,
doing it.
it's not from our end. If it is,
Yeah.
Google might pick
Yeah.
something up, but it's not from our end.
Right. Okay. What's one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to be informed, wants to be active about the many problems we're facing, and they keep multiplying, it seems, but doesn't want to be too depressed to do anything about it?
Well, yeah, I think that goes back to what we were just saying about not focusing solely on the negative.
Mhm.
Um, particularly with climate change, we're in a very strange moment of time where the bad news is constant and
Mhm.
it seems like the problems are surmountable, but simultaneously, the solutions are scaling
Yes.
faster than anybody realizes. And when you plug in to the news about the solutions and you start getting informed about the energy transition and different kinds of conservation efforts and the different efforts that people are making to reform our agriculture systems, all kinds of things like that, it really gives you a lot of hope that this can be done, because it can be done. Like the main thing to know is that it really can be done. It's not a guarantee that we're going to figure this out and solve these problems, but it is not a lost cause by any stretch of the imagination.
Yes, and I do like that you showcase what's happening beyond the United States.
Mm.
People in the United States tend to think the world begins and ends here, and there's so much more happening in the world. Even when things are being stymied here, there are really great projects happening around the world too. So that's
Yeah,
good. That's good news.
yeah, absolutely. And well, one thing to say is that also people outside of the United States sometimes think that everything begins and ends with the United States. So there is plenty of news about the United States that we are dealing with and reacting to.
Yes.
But within the United States, of course, there are also many great things happening in since this current administration came into power. um, Many people have been coming together and looking
Mhm.
for uh, what can they do now. This is the reality. you know let's keep moving forward. Um, it
That's
happened
exactly the
before.
inspiration for this video series is,
Yeah.
there's things that we can do.
Yeah,
It's not doesn't end when when the government changes.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
yes, thank you for that. Okay, do you have a pet project, one that I know the stopping the investment was a
Mhm.
big one, but do you have a real climate positive, somebody doing something positive to give us an example of what's hopeful things are happening?
Yeah, so one thing that I would really encourage all of the viewers to check out is a campaign that We Don't Have Time is promoting, which is the Buy More Time campaign, hashtag Buy More Time.
Buy more
So
time. Okay.
um, basically, if I don't know how familiar everybody is with kind of the mechanics of climate change, so I'll do a little basic explanation here.
Sure.
So of course, when we talk about the cause of climate change, we usually focus on carbon dioxide. That's the main climate gas.
Right.
But there are other greenhouse gases, namely methane. Methane is even more powerful than carbon dioxide, but it is a much shorter lived gas. So carbon dioxide goes into the atmosphere and it's going to be up there causing warming for centuries. Once it goes out, It's very difficult to do anything about it, right? There's actually people working on that, but it's very difficult to do anything about it. However, methane stops absorbing so much heat after like 8 to 12 years. So the idea is that if we can focus on reducing methane emissions, we can stop a big part of the warming that is currently happening.
Mm.
I think it's something like a third of the warming that the world has already experienced or is currently experiencing is due to methane emissions. So imagine if we could just stop all the methane emissions now,
Yeah.
then over the next 8 years or so, we would actually see the global temperatures reduce by about 0.5 degrees. Now, that is a tall order. I mean, it's stopping all the methane emissions at once is not such an easy thing to do. However, what we're hoping is that if we can get an international agreement together, similar to what happened with chlorofluorocarbons, which was the stuff that was eating the ozone layer in the 80s and 90s. That just took a minority of countries in the world to agree to stop using these particular chemicals that were destroying the ozone layer, and it almost solved the problem. I mean, the ozone layer is still an issue, but it is one of the great success stories of
Exactly.
humans
Yeah.
pulling back from a real catastrophe, right?
Mhm.
So our hope is that we can buy more time by getting the leaders of the world together to agree to regulate methane emissions, bring methane emissions rapidly down. It's something that we could do without even a big economic uh, uh, cost, right? Like it's much easier to stop methane emissions than it is to just turn off all of the oil and gas.
But
So
aren't the
yeah,
cows a big factor in the methane?
right. Yeah. So that's there's a lot of things that would go into this, right? And agricultural emissions are maybe the number one uh, human caused methane source. I can't remember off the top of my head,
They're
but
up there, yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, so that's a big thing. But there are actually some solutions for addressing the cow methane problem. There are other things that are even easier and in fact would probably save money if we start doing so. When we're drilling for oil and natural gas, methane is commonly
Mhm.
just being spewed into the atmosphere. It's invisible, so the oil companies get away with it, and until very recently, nobody was the wiser. Actually, just very recently, this year, they launched a satellite which is able to track methane emissions, and they can see exactly where they're coming from. And that's a huge breakthrough. It's going to be something that will facilitate any action that the global community decides to take on. So, in any case,
No
just
longer
to sum
invisible.
up, the idea with buy more time is that if we can address methane emissions, it will give us more time to decarbonize the rest of the economy. Because if,
I
if,
love
if
that,
we just
yeah.
have an extra, 15, 20 years to electrify all of our transportation, all of
Mhm.
our energy systems, and to rework our agriculture, I mean, that would be huge.
That
That
would
would
be huge.
really, really help our chances.
Yeah, that I love that. So where can people learn more about Buy More Time?
So on We Don't Have Time, it's one of the main campaigns. So if you go to wedon'thavetime.org, you'll see it right on the front page. So there's a petition you can sign, and I would recommend sending a letter to your UN representative and
Mm.
just talking to people about it, because I think it's something that has a lot of potential to be a really big help.
Even if the United States isn't on board for a while.
Yes. Even
Okay, well, is there anything else you would like people to know about We Don't Have Time that I haven't asked you about?
um I can't think of anything. Yeah, just if anybody's interested, we We have I'm a little partial, but I think we have a great newsletter. So that's one way if you don't want to sign into the app every day. You can get our weekly newsletter, and we're always trying to inform people about the things they need to be concerned about, but also the actions that are being taken, and many times actions that you can also participate in, things you can invest in, or petitions you can sign, that kind of thing, that could have a really positive impact. So I'd encourage
Great.
everybody to check that out.
Wow, that's a lot of great information. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the the app even more now. Um, and I will include all of those links in the show notes, so be
Great,
sure to look there if you're looking for them.
great.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to hear from more community changemakers. You can also read about more groups in my book, Madness on the Brink of Eco-Apocalypse. And finally, if you have a group you'd like to recommend for this conversation series, please be sure to email me. We want to give a voice to all who are caring for people, plants, and critters, because we sure cannot wait for our government, the megacorps, or the oligarchs to do it for us. We are here to save ourselves. Thank you.